Now, I don't know about everyone else, but I love a grilled cheese sandwich, especially one that's been freshly made bread and butter, and that's what I'm doing today. I'm not making the cheese because that is yet a skill I have gained, but it will be one down the line that I'll show people the journey of. The grilled cheese has a fascinating background. It is from the Great Depression, and it's a quick and easy meal because it's cheap, seeing as where the world's going at the moment, kind of fits. Now, I'll come down here with you because the bread recipe is actually really easy. You need 7 grams of yeast, what we're going to put in this bowl, with my 300 mils of water, warm water, to activate it. We're going to leave that in there until it starts bubbling, and then we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. Oil first. While we're waiting for the yeast to activate, I'm going to grab a bowl that I'll transfer the dough into after it's mixed, and a towel with a bit of olive oil on it just to mix it around, just so it doesn't stick to the sides for later. It needs to be nice done, not so it's drowning, because you don't want your bread to taste like olive oil or whatever oil you choose. You want it to taste like bread. You can use butter. We're now going to add the 3 teaspoons of salt. So the yeast looks pretty activated, or enough for what I'm about to do next. I'm about to put 3 teaspoons, or tablespoons, of olive oil into the mix. I'm going to put my first cup of flour in now, out of the 500 grams, so it should be around 2 cups. And then I'll add the second one in a moment after this has mixed for a little bit. Okay, so that's mixed in enough. I can add the second cup. And mix that in. Start it on slow. Once it gets to a form where it's not as sticky, you can transfer it to your bowl, and then we'll move on to the next steps. So I've transferred the dough into the oiled bowl that I prepared earlier. If you don't have a mixer like I do, the stage next would have been putting flour onto the surface and kneading it properly, but I've just put it through that and it should be fine. We're going to cover this and put it in a warm place for an hour, and while we do that, we can make the butter. Some people will say making butter is hard, and really it isn't. It's just a little time consuming, and it tastes so much better than the store-bought stuff. I have a mixer, it'll make my life 10 times easier. If you have a processor, anything that can mix really fast, it'll generally work. If you have a churner, I'm sorry if you're lost. That's gonna take forever and have a sus implication. So I suggest not using a NutriBullet. I've tried to do that before. It has cooked my butter to the point that I could not use it. So we're gonna have to use 4 cups. So these are about 4 cups of heavy cream. And all you do is now with the butter, you're gonna need to rinse it out properly, like well and truly properly, in some cold water or even running water, and then dry it out with a cloth. I couldn't do either of that because I still have my bandage on my finger and I didn't want to contaminate the butter, because who wants to use all that time and then contaminate one thing you want to have for a couple of weeks. This should last you, depending on how much you eat butter, 1 to 2 weeks. When you add salt, add in slowly, massage it in, and then taste it as you go, because you don't want to accidentally over salt it and then be like, well, great. It tastes like the sea. We're gonna get these solids out of the milk butter and put in some cold water to wash out the milk butter. This will help it last longer. It'll also help it solidify a bit more. As you can tell, we've got quite a lot of butter. Okay, that should be clean. We'll get all the liquid out. Now we have this big clump of butter. You can add salt in if you want it salted. I will add salt. It's to your own flavor, but boom. we'll put that aside and leave it for later. So it has almost been an hour and the dough has doubled in size. You're gonna need a tin about yay big, bread size, depends how high and thick you want it. I've already pre-oiled this with this. I love doing this. Try not to do it with that hand. We're gonna get it out of the bowl. Now that it's in its new home, I'm gonna let it sit for another 20 minutes. It'll raise a little more and then we'll chuck it in the oven with a little bit of butter on top to give it a glaze. So the oven has been heating at 220 degrees. This has puffed up, so we're gonna put it in here for 25 to 30 minutes. Boop. As you can tell, I left it in the oven a little too long, but this is not my original oven, so fair square. But look at that crumb. It looks amazing and tastes amazing. I just took that little end off to taste it. So you want to cut it for about 1 centimeter to 1.5. So with the bread, you're going to have to butter both sides. And because the bread is probably still a little warm, it'll spread. With the pan on low heat, we're going to chuck it on. You want it on low heat because you don't want it to cook really fast. The cheese mix that I am using is pecorino, mozzarella, and cheddar. The mozzarella gives it the stringiness. The pecorino gives it kind of intensity, and so does the cheddar. So I've cut it in half preemptively because that is a cheese pull. If you liked this video, the recipe is down below for everything I've made today. Subscribe, like, comment, all that. Bye guys.